Welcome back to the Daily Taoist with Will S. Today I'll be talking about verse 13. The Tao Te Ching was written around 2,500 years ago by a man named Lao-Tzu. It is one of the oldest texts in existence and certainly one of the wisest. Its wisdom is as relevant and important now as it was back then, if not more so. It is vital that we learn to come back into balance with the natural world and to live in a more harmonious and selfless way. The Tao Te Ching beautifully instructs us in bringing ourselves and our lives into alignment with the Tao. Verse 13. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. What does it mean that success is as dangerous as failure? Whether you go up the ladder or down it, your position is shaky. When you stand with your 2 feet upon the ground, you will always keep your balance. What does it mean that hope is as hollow as fear? Hope and fear are both phantoms that arise from thinking of the self. If we have no selves, what trouble would we have? Man's true self is eternal, yet he thinks I am this body and will soon die. If we have no body, what calamities can we have? One who sees himself as everything is fit to be guardian of the world. One who loves himself as everyone is fit to be teacher of the world. This verse of the Tao Te Ching further deconstructs the way we see ourselves and relate to the world. Based upon the level of form in which we appear as separate bodies, it's considered normal for human beings to be locked into a separate sense of self. This self is a conglomeration of thoughts, feelings, beliefs, conditioning, and memories, all bound together by the glue of hope and fear, or what the Buddhists might refer to as attachment and aversion, the desire to seek pleasure and avoid pain. Lao-Tzu warns that this sense of self, which might be referred to as the ego, is the root of most of our troubles. This was echoed by one of the great Zen masters who, when asked to define Zen, simply stated, "No self, no problem." When we believe that we're separate somebody, alone, and struggling to make it in the world, our constant craving for success can actually be a great hindrance. Any attempts to climb the ladder will inevitably put us in a shaky position, no matter how high we might get. In fact, the higher we get, the higher we have to fall. And inevitably, we will fall, because what goes up must come down. Sooner or later, we'll have to come down that ladder, from either choice or by force. Instead, Lao-Tzu suggests that we might better to keep our feet firmly planted upon the ground, for it is only there that we will find true solidity and balance. The rest of the verse deals with what Albert Einstein referred to as an optical delusion of consciousness, namely that we are separate selves enclosed in separate bodies. Our true self is eternal, Lao-Tzu states, yet so few people are aware of this and instead are bound by the intangible. Most people are aware only of the level of form and are completely unaware of the invisible, formless essence that breathes life into it. If we could make a quantum shift in our awareness to encompass the greater aspect of our being instead of being stuck in the hollow surface level, we would be able to open our heart to all beings because we would recognize the inherent oneness and interconnectedness of all life. As for another translation of the verse simply states, see the world as yourself, love the world as yourself, then you will care for all things. I already referenced the words of Einstein, and he beautifully encapsulated the wisdom in the following quote. A human being is part of a whole called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts, and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the world of nature in its beauty. Well, I think that's quite eloquent. The Tao Te Ching preaches oneness. Like we are not separate from one another. We are one. We all originate from the same source of being and the same point of origin. And when you realize that, there's a certain amount of serenity that you get. I used to get very agitated when going out into public because of my social anxiety. But now I just breathe and I quietly just remember this verse that I am one with everything and everyone, and you need to see yourself as one with everyone. And the moment you let go of that ego internal self, there's a shift that happens inside of you. And I can't describe it any better than that. It's just something that you have to practice for yourself. But as soon as you do, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. All right. Well, this has been Will with the Daily Taoist. You can check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And as always, I love each and every one of you wherever you are in the world right now. Have a great and prosperous day. Namaste.